I just finished Wuthering Waves 3.6, and after sitting with it for a bit, I think the biggest thing I can say is that this story gave me a lot to think about. Not necessarily because every question was answered, because if anything, I probably have more questions now than I did before starting it. But there are a few characters and story developments that completely changed how I was looking at them, and Muyu is probably at the top of that list. For a while, I thought I knew exactly what kind of villain Muyu was going to be. I was expecting some kind of complicated motivation behind everything. Maybe there was a larger purpose. Maybe he believed he was doing something necessary. Maybe there was going to be some tragic reason that explained why he had spent centuries doing all of this. I even started thinking he might end up feeling like another version of Frolova. But the further the story went, the more obvious it became that Muyu doesn't really need some complicated ideology to explain himself. His motivation is remarkably simple. He wants something, and he's willing to use everyone else to get it. After more than 2 centuries of whatever nonsense this man has been involved in, it all seems to lead back to the same goal. The Sentinel's tech represents a way for him to escape death, and that's what he wants, not for the sake of humanity, not because he's trying to protect someone important to him, not because he believes he's making the world a better place. Muyu is doing it for Muyu, and honestly, I kind of like that. Wuthering Waves has given us antagonists with larger ideas and complicated motivations before, but Muyu, being so openly self-serving, makes him stand out. He's not pretending that his actions are noble. He's just a guy who looked at the possibility of immortality and decided everyone else could deal with the consequences.
I turn now! Good luck, everybody else!
Then we have Hsin, who somehow managed to return and make me even more confused than before. She's apparently fine, which is good news, but she also seems to understand far more about the situation in Xianfang Hold than I expected. And that's where the questions start piling up again. If she knows this much, then what exactly has she been doing since 3.5? Why hasn't she been fighting alongside everyone else? And how much information is she still keeping to herself? This makes me wonder more whether the story is setting her up for something longer. Maybe this really is going to be something similar to the way Amith's presence unfolded. I don't know if we're looking at a 3-patch Qin storyline yet, but I definitely wouldn't rule it out. About Jingran, I have to give credit where credit is due. This man was an absolute legend during this quest. Without Jingran, I feel like I would still be somewhere in Xianfang Hold trying to figure out where Hsin disappeared to. The story would have ended, the next patch would have been released, and I would still be standing there looking for clues. And after playing the Segway quest, it was shown that he's actually the one who dealt the finishing strike to Muyu. So yes, Jingran is the GOAT of this patch's whole story quest. Something else that caught my attention was the mentioning of Balanophora, a new named Fractsidus overseer. Now, I'm interested in seeing what happens with that character, but I also have one request for the story going forward. Please don't make the Fractsidus the main event in every single region. They've already have a lot of presence in Renacida and Lahairoi. At some point, if Rover travels to a new place and immediately discovers that another Fractsidus member is behind everything, I think their appearances could start losing their impact. If a villain keeps appearing but the story doesn't significantly change the situation each time, as audience can subconsciously start thinking, these guys aren't really that dangerous, even though we all know what the Fractsidus are capable of. And to be clear, I don't think the Fractsidus should disappear. Far from it. I actually think there are places where they could become even more interesting. Personally, I would love to see them go completely off the rails in the new Federation. That feels like a much better place for a huge Fractsidus storyline, especially with characters like Eris and the Grand Architect involved. Give them a setting where the conflict can really escalate, instead of making them feel like the same recurring villains who somehow happen to be responsible for every problem Rover encounters. Because eventually, they might become Team Rocket to Rover's Ash Ketchum. Again, not necessarily the worst thing in the world. But maybe we don't need that just yet. Another thing I couldn't stop thinking about was past Rover. The version of Rover we've seen from the past has a very different energy from the person we're traveling with now. Based on the artwork and what we've been shown from the past story quests, past Rover looks like somebody who had places to be and absolutely no time for anyone's emotional problems. Everything about him gives me the impression of someone focused entirely on the job in front of him. And that makes me wonder how different he really was. The Rover we know has formed connections everywhere. People trust him. People care about him. He cares about them in return. But when I look at this older version of Rover, I get the feeling that he might have been much more distant, maybe even cold. Heartless Rover? There is absolutely no way, probably, but it's an interesting possibility. Maybe his memory wipe didn't just erase information. Maybe there was something in his past that changed him. We obviously don't have enough answers yet, but that's exactly why every new glimpse of his history is so interesting. Then there's Qingxiao, Rover's master. First of all, flying around on swords with the Paragon was fun. More importantly though, we learned a lot about her in this quest. We met Qingwei, Qingxiao's master, who, from everything we've seen, looks like an absolute beauty. I mean, legend. No, actually both. We also have the detail that Changli apparently met Qingxiao when she was younger and visited her alongside her adoptive father. That's a connection I definitely didn't expect to be thinking about. Then there's Ruoyun, who appears to be at the center of Qingxiao's trauma. Turns out she's still alive, and Hsin knows about it since she's the one who gave Ruoyun the choice to live. With this context, this made me appreciate this scene where Qingxiao acts out of character.
Paragon Qingxiao, calm yourself.
What a big reaction from Qingxiao after seeing Hsin again. Such a nice touch to make the character feel more human. And somehow, the more we learn about Qingxiao, the more insane Rover's timeline starts to feel. Qingxiao is old as hell, and yet Rover is even older. In other news, Yinlin showed up, but it's not clear yet what her role's going to be in Mengzhou. But I'm glad she's here. Qiao Yuan seems to be closely monitoring what's unfolding in Xuanfang Hold. He even retrieved a core containing Sentinel Tac acquired by Jingran. Suomeng was also there, but revealed nothing much to talk about. Oh, and Rover should probably start addressing Buling as Senpai from now on. But before my conclusion about Susui, I won't elaborate any further. But Yang Yang might want to pay attention, because Susui is making moves. That's all I'm going to say. Jokes aside, after finishing 3.6 story quests, I think what I'm left with the most is curiosity. Muyu surprised me by turning out to be much simpler and somehow more interesting than I initially expected. Hsin's appearance created a whole new set of questions. Jingran proved himself to be one of the most valuable character of the quest. Balanophora has me curious about what's next for the Fractsidus, even though I really hope we don't start seeing them everywhere. Past Rover looks like he might have been a completely different person. And Qingxiao, along with everything connected to her past, still feels like an important piece of the bigger story that we're only beginning to understand. For me, that's what made the quest enjoyable. I finished it with answers, sure, but also with enough new questions to keep me interested in what comes next. What about you? How is the 3.6 story in your own opinion? Comment it down below, and please leave a like before you go. It helps the channel. Anyways, that is all for now.